Hi, my name is Officer Michael Forbes. I'm a police officer at the Lithonia Police Department, Lithonia, Georgia. But before I talk a little about what I'm doing right now in Lithonia, Georgia, I want to kind of give a brief history of where I came from. I was born in Nassau, Bahamas, and went to high school in Nassau, Bahamas. While in high school in Nassau, Bahamas, I always had this urge to want to help people, people that were in need, people that were in trouble. So of course, that led me to joining the Royal Bahamas Police Force. I joined the Bahamas Police Force back in 1984, and from 1984 to 1994, I was a police officer in the Bahamas Police Department, and I learned a lot of things in the Bahamas Police Force. I learned a lot about policing, first-hand policing. I learned a lot about investigations. I learned a lot about seeing raw crimes. I learned a lot about seeing children get caught up in the system, even back then. So I policed in the Bahamas for about 10 years, and back in 1993, I met a lady who was from the United States, and of course I started dating her, and I proposed to her. I got married to her. She was from the U.S. I was just finishing up 10-year tenure at the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and we came to the conclusion that after getting married, we can either live in the U.S. or in the Bahamas. But of course, everybody wants to come to the great United States. So I decided to make that trip to the U.S. So we came to the U.S., me and my spouse at the time. Um, while here in the U.S., I wanted to continue my law enforcement career, and for a while, of course, I couldn't get into it right away because I had to make sure I was able to obtain my U.S. Citizen status first. And after I did that, I got right back into it. Started working with the Department of Juvenile Justice for a while. Now, with the Department of Juvenile Justice, I saw and learned and experienced a lot of things, and some of those things, is the reason why I'm here talking today. And I want to talk about how I saw a lot of youth offenders come into the system. Um, White, black, Hispanic, male, female, you name it. Some came for serious offenses like murder, rape, sodomy, aggravated sodomy. Some came for truancy, small crimes, torts. Some came for running away, not going to school. But what really touched me was to see that even though a lot of these kids came up in the justice system, a lot of them still had potential. Uh, uh, what happened is that a lot of them, even though they had potential, their parents didn't have the money to deal with the legality of getting attorneys and getting the lawyers and getting them off. And a lot of them, kind of got caught up in the system, stayed in the system because nobody was there to pay a bond. Or, for example, some kids, who might have been abused, even though the court system didn't want to keep them there, they couldn't send them back to the home. So things like that, really started a passion, really ignited a passion in my heart. And that passion was to try to see whatever I could do, how I can use what I'm doing as a law enforcement officer to better, how can I say, even possibly re-educate some of these children, because a lot of them are making crazy mistakes. They weren't bad kids, but they were making mistakes. A lot of them were making what I would call peer pressure mistakes. You know, the group did it, so they did it, and I wanted to try to see if I can make an impact in a lot of their lives by talking to them. And as a juvenile correction officer, I did do that. I tried to teach a lot of them, leadership skills. You know, tried to reach out to a lot of them, and I mean, that went on for a while. Working in juvenile justice for about 4 to 5 years, and from there, I decided to go to the big prison. work with the adult corrections. Even there with adult corrections, you know, I came across young adults of various ethnic background, especially, and the majority were African Americans, male and females. To see young men 17 and 18, you know, in the state prison, correctional facilities, a lot of them, they were there again for minor crimes, maybe getting drunk or shoplifting, maybe hanging with somebody who had a gun, and that person asked them to hold the gun, and when the police came and caught them, they got caught up in the system. I mean, just a whole lot of stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of people that did things and that deserve, you know, to be dealt with, but there were also what I consider and what I saw was a lot of youth offenders, I call them. You know, I call, you know, from 18 under, youth offenders that, you know, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, got caught up. And again, here again, this passion was stirred up again. It seemed like wherever I went, you know, you know, I was coming across youth offenders. So as a result of constantly coming across and experiencing these youth offenders, you know, the passion got to, how shall I put it, the passion started boiling. And I decided that I need to do something. So as I left the Department of Corrections, I went to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. I worked there for a while as a deputy sheriff, and that was a good experience. Got promoted to a sergeant in investigation, but you know, still, you know, it wasn't really what I wanted to do because I couldn't really impact the youth offenders. And since then, back in 2009, March 2009, I came to the Lithonia Police Department, and since then, I have decided now is the time to make an impact. And since then, I started writing up you know, at-risk youth seminars for the city of Lithonia, and I got together with the pastors of Lithonia in the main Lithonia, and the pastors agreed, and we decided to do something about it, and we've been doing it ever since. Back in December, we did a youth seminar here at the Family Fellowship Christian Church. Pastor Wilkins, he was kind enough to allow us to use his facility. But while holding that seminar, we had a substantial amount of youth, you know, children that came out and participated. Children were hungry for leadership skills. They were hungry for positive role models speaking into their lives. You know, they were hungry for police officers taking the time and say to them, we care about you, you know, we're not just here to take you down, you know. So, you know, we had a collective amount of law enforcement officials who came out in November, including myself from the Lithonia Police Department. You had Chief Investigator John Gibson for the NAACP. He was very concerned about the youth violence and all the crimes that are going on. You know, of course, we had other various law enforcement officers from the Lithonia Police Department who played a part, you know, who contributed, who cared, and it was a success. And as a result of that, we decided to continue the youth seminar. And so again, we had a youth seminar just about 2 weeks ago here again at the Fellowship Christian Church. We did the same thing. We had even a greater turnout of children along with parents. We had the community come together. We had agencies, institutions, everybody pitching in and collaborating. And it was a good turnout, and the outcome was good. A lot of kids' lives were changed. A lot of the adults' lives were changed. And I guess what I want to say is that for parents or for people who might be going through some concerns and would like to know what to do, you know, you can give me a call anytime at 770-866 8336, and I'll be willing to sit down and talk to you about alternative ways to try to help youth. Because we are concerned about alternative ways of redirecting our youth instead of incarceration. Oh, yeah. Also, email contact. You can contact me by email at yahoo.com. Email. My actual email address is yamanmike@yahoo.com, and that's going to be YAHMANMIKE@yahoo.com. And again, you can contact me by phone at 770-866-8336. And I want to thank you, and if you have any comments, any concerns, feel free to call me again via email or telephone.